2D animation is an old form of art, yet it retains the interest of many, and we still see it on the big screen. 2D animation has an irreplaceable charm, especially the traditional one, using pen and paper. It created some of the most well-known and loved animated movies, such as some of the old Disney and Ghibli movies. Today, we're going to show you through the steps of making 2D animation on paper. So buckle up and let's jump right into it.
If you want to learn 2D animation, I recommend taking a look at CG Spectrum, which is one of the best online game development, VFX, and animation schools. They offer a more personalized education experience, and unlike other online schools, CG Spectrum follows a more hands-on approach with a lot of activities and weekly Q&A calls with instructors who have many years of experience working in the industry. So you will have the support and professional feedback you will need to get yourself industry ready, not to mention a thriving community of students just like you. Through the whole journey, your mentors will guide you through learning both modern and traditional animation techniques with multiple sessions a week. And they have 2 types of courses in CG Spectrum, 4-month courses and a 12-month diploma. The curriculum is well structured to make you job ready. So if you are interested in animation and open to new doors for yourself in the industry, check out the link in the description of this video.
The very first step towards your animation project must be doing research. You ideally want to be making mood boards to determine the vibe you want your animation to give, as well as the style you want to go for, the color palette, and so on and so forth. At this stage, you get to work and experiment with many different concepts to find the one that suits your project. Studying the animated movies and videos that inspire you and taking notes of what they do that you like or would like to implement in your work can be a great way to achieve the exact look and feel you want in your animation. In a nutshell, this is the stage where all the theoretical work happens. You don't waste time on making concrete parts of the animation that get scrapped later. It's all concept and research. This stage also helps you streamline your vision for the project as well as making sure it is cohesive. Having a sketchbook with all the mood boards and light sketches of different things for the project would be an ideal way to go about this step. Any form of art relies on telling a story in order for it to be interesting, compelling, and open to interpretation. Animation is actually no exception. In this phase, you want to be figuring out the story you want to be telling. Even if your animation leans to the absurd, in order for it to be appealing, it should have appealing elements. A funny line, or a pun, or even a funny nod to a political situation. All of this gives weight to your animation. Even if your animation is for commercial purposes, telling a story attracts and retains a viewer's attention a whole lot better than just saying, "Oh hey, look at this cool service I provide. Buy it." For bigger projects, people specialized in narrative are hired, like writers and narrative designers and what have you. If your project is very small, you might have to be the Shakespeare. This doesn't mean that you would have to write the next Macbeth. It just means you need to be figuring out what will be happening in the story. The plot, the character's arc, and everything from the setup to the resolution in your story. It goes without saying that your narrative and its complexity is all relative. If your project is about a banana that wants to run away from the fridge to chase its dreams, the narrative can be simplistic, funny, and absurd. In it, you need to figure out the setup for the fridge environment, the inciting incident, what made the banana conscious and want to have a dream, all the way to the resolution. Does the banana end up living its dream? Obviously, we have gone a little deep and you might not need or even want to go this deep, but it's good to be aware of this phase as it will help you take your animation to the next level. Now that you have your environment and characters figured out, it's time to finalize their look and have a solid idea of what they look like. This will be done through concept work. Ideally, by this step, you have a solid idea of the character's personality, needs, and wants. And you will use that information and implement it in the concept art you make of the banana guy. When you're telling a story, you don't want to tell, you actually want to show. Hence the whole show don't tell deal. You know that? And since animation is a visual medium, oh boy, will this be easier than writing. All of this can be shown through concept work. Same thing goes for the environment. This is the place for you to experiment with the visuals of your story to make sure to do that, because once you start the next steps, it will be a big waste of time to go back and rework the basis of your animation. In the interest of saving your time and effort, consider this point of no return. Make sure you're all good before proceeding. This is where you'll be deciding what will happen in your animation, but visually. Storyboarding is basically making very simplistic drawings, and we really mean simplistic. At this stage of your animation, you will draw the main beats in your animation in a stick figure style, complete with the conversation that is going to happen. Why do this? You do this to have a clear vision of how your story is going to look, how it is going to develop, and determine how your shots are placed, all in the interest of making a compelling animation through and through. If you have a hard time understanding why storyboarding is important, think of it this way. Imagine you started animating without having a solid idea where the animation is going. That would be quite the headache, and the frames you are animating now might turn out to be horrible in the long run. For an even deeper look into the world of storyboarding, feel free to check out our video on the best storyboard software for storyboarding, where we go in depth on what storyboarding is and where it is used. After watching this video, you should have a better and in-depth understanding of storyboarding. Now that you have done all the previous steps, it is time to start making serious sketches of your environment, where your characters are going to be placed. This step is necessary so that when placing your characters, they will not look weird and have wonky anatomy and proportions when they're placed in their environment, I mean. At this stage, the environment doesn't have to look like a full-fledged drawing or painting, but should be detailed enough to show the perspective clearly, so that when you're starting to animate your characters, you have a solid ground to base their proportion and perspective. This is also the stage where you should be thinking about the objects your characters interact with, so that you know what's animated and what will be still in the scene. Okay, now that you have your base environment ready, it is time to keyframe the characters. By this, we mean it is time for you to determine the most important actions in the scene and mark them by drawing them, and then later coming back and inserting the animation between those actions. Taking this baby step of an approach is key to a workflow and process that doesn't waste your time, especially with the tediousness of a traditional process. For example, you made the keyframes for your characters and realized the way your environment is structured doesn't suit the character's animation. Since the environment is just a sketch, you wouldn't be wasting a lot of time reworking it, as opposed to reworking a full-fledged drawing with colors and effects. Once you're done keyframing, go ahead and animate your characters, but don't turn them into finished drawings just yet. For this step, it can be very beneficial to layer your characters on top of the environment using transparent paper. This way, you won't have to ruin your environment sketches. It goes without saying that for each keyframe and everything in between these keyframes should be drawn on different paper. It's time for you to finish up your environments to fully color drawings or paintings, as well as line your characters and coloring them. This is also the time to polish the visuals of your animation. Doing this is essentially the last step of your animation process. What is left is pretty much post-production work. Using both the sketches of the environment and the sketches of the characters, you can use a light box to directly start lighting the final version of the animation on the pad where you want your animation to go. You can find a paper animation toolkit full with both the light box and the drawing pad all in one package. This step is the cherry on the top. In order to make your animation pop, consider adding music, voiceover, and sound effects. Since your animation is on paper, you can record yourself flipping the papers and then add the audio while editing the video. Or you can scan your frames individually, clean them, and import them in a video editor to make the animation. and then add the sound effects, voiceover, and music. The voice actor, or you, can look at the bits where speech should be and record it accordingly. At any rate, after this step, all you have to do now is share the animation on social media for the world to see. Well, this was how to do 2D animation on paper. We hope this was helpful to you. Comment below if you think that we've missed something, or if you have any other suggestions. Thank you for watching as always, and see you next time.